increasing the rift inside the Trump White House. White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci told us this morning in an exclusive on New Day that he and the president know who the leakers are, but he didn't name names. The Senate tackling health care again today. Republicans debating a skinny repeal option, leaving parts of the current law intact. It comes after the Senate rejected a straight repeal of Obamacare. A deadly accident shutting down all the rides at the Ohio State Fair. A person was killed, at least 7 others injured when this thing on your screen, it's called the Fireball attraction, malfunctioned. It broke apart and sent riders who were flying high in the air at high speed plummeting to the ground. North Korea and South Korea marking the 64th anniversary of the end of the Korean War, but there are growing concerns that Pyongyang may conduct another missile test. House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, finally some good news. He's been released from a Washington, D.C. hospital 6 weeks after being shot at a congressional baseball practice. Doctors say he will now begin intensive inpatient rehab. For more on the 5 things to know, go to cnn.com/newday for the latest. All right, we want to get back to our exclusive interview. We had White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci call in this morning because there was really an urgent situation. These tweets last night that he had sent about leaks and who it may be, and he named Reince Priebus, and it really needed to be clarified. So we called him in, and a lot got unpacked. Joining us now is Republican Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary and Appropriations Committees. We want to talk about health care with you and what's going on and how it will affect Americans. But I do want to get your take on your level of concern about all of this palace intrigue, and in fact, that phrase may cheapen it. These seem like real concerns that are going on.
Well, I don't know exactly what's going on in the White House, but I've never worked there, but I've worked for 2 governors, and I can tell you what it looks like is going on. You have all these aides that work for the president, and they want daddy to love them best. And so they fight over turf, and they try to hurt each other, and they leak stuff. And it ends up hurting the person that you're working for. Now, some of that is, Chris, is inevitable, it's human nature, but it looks to me like this is, in this White House, it's out of control. That's point 1. Point 2, in terms of making all these announcements about who's doing what to whom, somebody ought to check the water in the White House, because folks there seem to grow anxious when they have an unexpressed thought. You don't have to talk about all this publicly. If somebody's caught leaking and doing a disservice to the country and to the president, fire him. Don't talk about it. Just go ahead and fire him.
It's an interesting observation, Senator. You know, you said you work for a couple of governors, and obviously you're a leader yourself. You have your own staff. And it does raise the question about the tone from the top. We know that the president is guilty of some of these actions himself, that he'll take to Twitter. What he's doing with Jeff Sessions, going after him publicly instead of privately. Do you think that that has a role in engendering a little bit of this negative culture?
Well, let me put it this way, Chris. Part of wisdom, particularly in politics, is understanding you don't have to comment on everything. Sometimes it's okay to say nothing. Number 2, in politics as in life, what you do is what you believe. It's not what you say. And if you believe in something, then do it. Judge somebody by their actions, not their words. And every White House is different. This White House likes to muse publicly about their thinking, and that's their choice, but I wouldn't do it.
All right, so I'm appreciating the candor, Senator. Let's keep it rolling. What we're seeing happening with the health care debate right now, here's the proposition. Why don't Republicans just own what you really want to do? there is a pronounced feeling for many years, John Boehner used to muse about it all the time, that there's a division about how to deal with health care within your party. But there is a central interest, which is let's take money out of this system and use it for other things. No matter what you call any of these versions of a plan, skinny repeal, fat repeal, straight repeal, Mike the appeal, you know, whatever you want to call it, they're all doing the same thing to various degrees. Taking money out of the system. Why not just own that? Yes, we want to take money out. We know that that may mean less people get covered. That's the trade-off. Let the American people decide at the polls the next set of elections.
That's an interesting thought, Chris, and I think that describes some of the people in the Republican caucus, but not all of them. We've got several groups of people. We've got some people in the Republican caucus who want to put more money back in. I mean, they have decided that they like Obamacare all of a sudden. And that's okay, but they ought to own it. They ought to stand up in front of God and country and CNN and say, I've changed my position and I support it. There are others who do believe what you believe, but the problem or what you suggested rather, but the problem right now is we don't have a consensus. And I know what's going on is ugly and it's messy, but in a way it's beautiful, because this is how democracy is supposed to work. Everybody now, Democrats, Republicans, independents, can offer amendments. They can say in a transparent way what they believe, and I think that's positive. I will say this, and I think this is true on both sides of the aisle. We do have some folks kind of like the lion in The Wizard of Oz. They're looking for courage. They don't quite want to say what they believe, and I think now's the time. We've talked about it enough. Let's vote. And if you believe in something, stand up and say it and own it. And if you change your mind, stand up and say, I've changed my mind, and here's why.
Well, Senator, it would be good to get some plain speak so the American people can judge it. We'll see what you all come up with, and you are always welcome on this show to test the ideas and put it before the American people.
Thank you, Chris.
Always. Thank you, sir, for taking the opportunity. All right. An unlikely hero has emerged in the Gold Cup final. Did you see this? What happened between the U.S. and Jamaica? Oh, Bleacher Report is next.
Asks us to go into the chaos.
Hello.
Into the heartbreak.
Welcome.
It's the story that drives us forward.
Can we have the memo?
It's the story that needs to be told. This is why we go.
Let's go live to CNN senior international correspondent Nima Al-Bagher.
For the Syrians and their families.
For somebody to tell you their story, it's something I take really seriously, and it's not something you can just parachute in and ask somebody to open their heart to you. To peel away the layers to get to the heart of the person who you're telling a story about.
France will never give up against the terrorists.
And delve beneath the surface of what's happening. You can hear their story, and you're going to do their story justice. You have to show yourself to them.
How high was the water? The water was as tall as that tree.
CNN's the right place to tell their story.